once the AI comes and once humans get replaced by AI units in self-perpetuation of those communication processes, you will see what I mean. and voila, like here we are. Because our worry about being replaced, what are we worrying about being replaced in social systems, in all those structures? Yes, because they are feeding us. Yes, so we are kind of parasiting on the existence of those beings. Or I was saying they are parasiting on us, but anyhow, like once they run their own show on another substrate, then we will see how intelligent they are, and this intelligence is. It's not it's not this kind of enlightened, this beneficial intelligence that you want. Yes, it's like really narrow, self-perpetuation. I persist, I become stronger, I become, like even more, myself type of orientation. Yes, and the situation with AI and the worry we are currently in is that. Is that this is happening, right? That like the corporations, like will just kick people out. They will just maximize their profit, maximize their gain, run the show, like even more aggressively than they did, because they will have a substrate that allows for that. So this interaction between those social structures and AI can become kind of like this dystopian dynamic in one version of our universe. Yes, hopefully it's not the only version there is. So for instance, I could develop an AI, like a foundation model. I could say, okay, like I'm not environmentally sustainable because what I'm basically doing is creating a chatbot which doesn't create like in itself any regenerative effects, and basically it's eating a lot of energy. But like and like this is my honest assessment and the situation. Yes, but I could, for example, say downstream every deployment has to already do that. Like be in the profile of sustainability, which means that any commercial operation that uses my capability actually has to have this sustainability arrangement in order to incorporate my AI sustainability into its own operation. Okay, and now who would do that? Once this vocabulary is available, all this grammar, maybe like some agencies will put this combination as the condition for funding. I will invest in your AI, but only if those conditions apply. Yeah. So it's always a power game. Yes, who has the power? Who is like basically who's paying? Yes, can dictate the rules, and that's the situation. You can also put this condition upstream, and this is also interesting for big players to say that. Okay, actually, I have so many companies competing to be my supplier that I require this profile, and it's it's a different type of like not my problem. Like you deal with it. If you demonstrate to me that you are a sustainable, like the whole operation of yourself is a bundle that is sustainable, I will buy from you. If not, then not. Yes. Again, if you are strong enough and have power to do that, or you have like a class of suppliers that like there's like a lot of competition and you can choose and pick, you are in a situation to actually put this condition. Yeah, because the current LLMs, if they were to apply this, the first LLMs created from this extraction of all human knowledge, they would basically need to, like, if they were to apply this profile, they would have to pay everybody already.
I mean, on the other side, they also give us a lot of, like they can do a summary very fast. So I think there is some reciprocity there. But I'm really especially struck by both reciprocity and the value profiles
Mm.
because they seem to challenge the entire logic by which value flows downstream, and
Yeah.
because the reciprocity in particular, yes, it creates registries for upstream contributions and contributor funds, while the value profile directs a share of gains towards communities, as you were saying, bearing
Mhm.
this AI socioeconomic consequences. So I think, if the let's say OpenAI bot learn from all the knowledge of the universe, but then it benefits me, and I find it somehow okay. So I put all my publications there; they are open, and now maybe someone can use together with other publications and build something new, but I also get something from their work as well. And for
True.
me, I
Mhm.
mean, I think it's not really tit for tat. It's reciprocity in the sense that yes, I give something, but then I also get a lot of value in return. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our beneficial general intelligence series in the Mindplex podcast. Well, there are moments in history when the real question is not what the new technology can do, but rather what kind of civilization it enters. We are living in one of those moments right now. Artificial intelligence is arriving not simply as a tool, but as a force that is beginning to reorganize work, coordinate value, governance, and the overall deeper architecture of social life. And yet, much of what currently passes for AI governance still feels strangely weightless. Overrated ethics principles without leverage, safety committees without substance, futile reports that circulate politely then disappear into institutional void. Well, my guest today is someone who is thinking at a different level. Dr. M. Lenartowicz is a social scientist at the Free University of Brussels with a PhD in humanistic management and background in social epistemology, theoretical linguistics, complexity studies, and so on and so forth. But she will reveal more during our conversation about her background. And her work asks how intelligence evolves in human systems across scales, and how collective intelligence, distributed cognition, and institutional form shapes the futures we could inhabit. Last year, she was appointed to the steering committee of the United Nations AI for Good Impact Initiative, and in this context, she recently created the AI Commons Framework as a modular licensing instrument designed to govern the terms under which AI capabilities enter the world. So, Em, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Mihaela. Very happy to be here. And yeah, I'm watching your podcast regularly, so
Thank you.
I
But
know
as
I
you,
know the space.
let
Yeah,
me turn
happy
it
to be here.
around to you because,
Mhm.
as you no doubt know, I have highest respect for you and for your unique, absolutely unique way of looking at the world and ability to see the interdependencies that most of us overlook. This enables you to approach AI ethics from a higher ground, in that you do not settle where most AI ethics work stops. Rules, principles, aspirational language. You dive deep into the interaction layer to understand what's happening at the actual architecture of deals, contracts, procurement clauses, terms of access, value flows, reciprocity, openness, and stakeholder standing. All this, intertwined conundrums that we want to avoid looking into. And in other words, you focus on the space where power really operates. From there, you ask a profound question. What is the highest leverage form of AI governance? What if this highest leverage is not another committee, but rather a repeatable pattern that can travel through the value chain and quietly rewire the system from within? And so today, I want to explore with you what this reveals about intelligence, institutions, value, responsibility, and the future of human systems themselves. But let's start with how you got to this passion for understanding the essence of intelligence and its unfolding. Please tell us a bit about yourself, your life, where were you born, what you chose to study and why, and what drove you all along that got you here.
Yeah, you said that I had a unique view. I wouldn't say it's a unique, but like the path was maybe not, I was moving through different communities, different ways of like different knowledge communities, and they are not always speaking to each other. Yes, so when you take something from one context to another, you kind of like develop develop maybe a different vocabulary, a different angle of understanding what's happening. You say you asked to start from where I'm from. I was born in Poland. I've lived still most of my life in Poland. When I was born, it was still a communistic country, and I was living in a like really really poor and not very developed part of Poland. So uh, the transition into capitalist system, it started earlier in big cities, but where I was from, I was like really soaked still in in this totalitarian soup. So I understand, like like this kind of sensitizes you, and that well, I suppose as well, yes, to social dynamics. Yeah, exactly. So we understand each other. Yes, so like it really matters, and it's interesting what's happening now in the US, because I see that the culture that didn't need to be sensitized to like those weird collective processes is becoming, like that's okay, like what's going on. Yeah, so I think that this is something that is maybe like not specific to my path, but basically to a large part of humanity. That some people are coming from like cultures that you just really have to pay attention, and really understand. Exactly, yes. Social dynamics can be just simply dangerous. Yes, so this is like a cultural background, and gender also kind of predisposes you into being sensitive to social dynamic, exactly for the same reason. Yes, because it's dangerous not to. Yes, so you have like layering of the sensitivity or interest. Yes, like when I suppose, if you were a boy born in the US, like you can afford not to not to pay it and not to understand what's happening in between lines and stuff like that. Yeah, so I like this is, I think, like nothing to do with my choices. This is just like staging of where I started, and I was always interested in humans in groups, and that was like since I remember, like I was running at the playground, and like saying, you do this, you do this, and there's kind of like bossing the kids around. So like this kind of like mobilization of a social process. I've been always doing that in many different like context, and the context change, but my kind of like let's go, and do something doesn't change that much. So this is another layer. And then yeah, like my first academic interest was in philosophy of language. I was studying basically the linguistic layer of coordination of culture, and I wrote a thesis about the Wittgenstein's the Wittgenstein model of language games, and this kind of like what's happening, like in language between people in meaning, and originally I was interested more in human organizations, in large organizations, and coordination of processes that make sense or don't make sense. So I was working as a management consultant, not really management in the conventional way, but it's called organizational development. So it's more kind of
The
like
job
like a
title, yeah, management
yeah,
consultant. It's
exactly.
classic.
But the angle is more that you take an organization as your patient, and I was also studying psychology and learning to be a therapies, but the therapy is not individual. I was always interested in systems, so it was systems therapy. You have a family, and family system therapy was my interest. But then I was trying to like you know
Therapeutic, yes, maybe.
yeah, do that. I'm trying to make a verb out of it. Organizations.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so you come to a large organization, and there's always some weirdness going on. Yes, and basically the intervention is usually similar as in talking therapy. Let's name, let's surface the unsurfaced dynamics. Let's look at it together, and something like that. And then this is why I did my PhD officially in humanistic management, because I was very much into this organizational dynamic then. Uh, but more and more I was annoyed with organizations, like this type of, like, oh, okay, like you are advising those organizations, but like, what is it for? That I had a crisis about the meaning of all that, like
I'm not
business and
surprised
yeah,
because I
yeah.
mean, dysfunctional organizations are really very hard to change, and it must have been very frustrating for you.
It
And it
is,
is,
yeah,
it is, yeah, painful. I would say, yes.
yeah,
We all
yeah.
survived after communists. We survived dysfunctional organizations, so we know.
Yeah, and it's the same game on the other side, like you have a capitalist system, but you're also kind of enslaved in this logic of it, and distinctions it makes, and goals it sets, and what doesn't allow. Yeah, so this type of disenchantment with like all organized life, and I was more and more interested in freeing the individual mind, like, because if you think about the mind, it's the individual versus the system. Yeah, so like this kind of anarchist moment. and when I moved at some point long time ago already to Belgium, and joined the research center after my PhD already, as a postdoc, where I met Ben Gartzel, and I met Weaver, and I met Kabir Veritas, and like, I suppose your audience knows all those names. So this is where we met in the context of the research on global brain, and basically envisioning and working out the socio-technological dynamic more in this utopian, futuristic angle. How would we arrange it that it makes sense, and it's freeing, and it doesn't stifle individual mind, and it's like supportive of creativity and freedom and evolution and so on. It's like, what kind of arrangement between technologies and emerging technologies and humans would need to be in place? That was the question. And I was like really like interested in this freeing. And we have other than the global brain, we have started in Brussels a postgraduate program for individuals called the School of Thinking. And we're like, and really like it's year-long program, still continuing, where people were really like studying their own minds relative to whatever you are engaged in, like what's happening, like what kind of mental models, what kind of thinking processes you are basically uh, like expressing in your mind and in your actions. And a part of it was an overview of all there is, like interesting to know from psychology and philosophy about, like what kind of models there are that can help you understand the mind. But for me, the most important part was also like the field, like always the field research of your own mind, like, so it becomes very very experiential. Yes, like okay, you are like walking around, and you are saying, okay, I want to do this, and I have to consider this and this. Oh, and here I've made a decision, and here I consider important, and then okay, let's study this process, like what the heck just happened, and what I was hoping always to accomplish is that that we more and more notice how scripted our thinking processes really are, and how like little autonomy we have, because this is the only way to like start gaining the autonomy. If you don't acknowledge and don't observe that you are not free, you will never get free, like, because and many social structures and many social systems basically disallow this observation by just telling you you are free, and this is the weirdest slavery. Yes. So because when you say, when the content of the social system is like proclaiming that, it's very difficult to observe that you are just repeating. So okay, maybe too many details on that, but so that was my interest. Yes. And
But I have to say that
yeah.
it's very interesting. Although it's not too many details, it's very interesting. And because I was thinking about introspection and thinking about myself and how I do that, and I think it's fascinating. But anyway, go on, and I will have many questions for you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and the question was, how did I end in this AI governance thing? So I think this was this research around the global brain concept and this human technological interaction. We have been, like, we haven't been writing and talking about and researching AI as long as Ben Goertzel, but definitely, like much earlier than some Altman popped up on
Intelligence in any way, yeah.
exactly,
You were
exactly.
researching intelligence itself,
Yes, yes.
yes.
But personally, I was always interested in the human side of all this interaction. Yes. So I was thinking about interaction with AI, and what will happen, and how it can be like how new social order and social contract can emerge. But I was invested in like making it good for people. So that was my angle. And yeah, I'm not an engineer, and I'm really, like, in terms of technologies, I think it's wonderful, it's amazing, it's magical what's happening with AI, but it never was my like primary focus, like to bring about
You're more a
to
social
bring about.
engineer, if I may call it. In your earlier work, you asked
Mm,
how intelligence evolves in human systems across scales.
mhm.
Indeed,
Yes,
and
yes.
I think in 2017 you have a work on the creatures of the semiospheres. That
Uh-huh.
suggested already that social systems may themselves be among the most advanced intelligences operating on Earth. So, I think you got to some very interesting point with your research. So, because, and my question related to this is, when you look at the present AI transition, what do you see that others may be missing because they are still looking at intelligence as something located in individual agents rather than in these systems of interactions, as
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
looking at it?
Yeah, so I'm really laughing because this paper, it was like very weird in 2016, and like very weird
Already the,
for.
the title
Yeah.
is fascinating. That's why I say you are an original thinker, unique thinker. You cannot deny that.
Because like I started my postdoc with this research question. Okay, if there is a species on this planet which is more intelligent than humans, uh, it wasn't really a question if. I like my hypothesis it was that there is. Okay, and my hypothesis was that it's not humans, it's social systems, but understood in a very weird way, as something differentiated from humans. And I was drawing on a very obscure systems research branch in sociology, of the guy called Niklas Luhmann, which I think now in the era of LLMs, it's like, like people should maybe not read him because he's like really difficult to understand, but just give your LLM, to read it, and they'll like explain it to you. Now there is a different way of reading, so all the obscure text can be understood. But because he was theorizing social systems as um, entities, or like processes or bundles of processes of communications and the unit was the act of communication. So of course you need, like, for the communication to happen back then, there needed to be two people, yes, or like, a number of people, like as a substrate of this talking, yes. But the system itself was made of the meaning processes happening between them. So now, currently, you are able already to substitute those substrate units from human, flesh based entities to synthetic entities, and communication keeps going. Yes, so now we are able to demonstrate that it's actually separable. But then it was like very academic discussion: can you separate those two bundles of processes, the human cognitive processing and communicating processes? So if you take social system understood in this way, and that, like, social system is not a happy, like, very very intuitive. There's no intuitive name for those bundles of processes, because we always assume that the social system is made of units, yes, of human units. So for example, in psychoanalysis, they have this term symbolic order. But it's a little bit pointing in this direction, but it's like all together order, not just one entity, like an organization or one paradigm or one discourse. Yes, so I was looking at those bundles more like organic things that have this operational closure similar to organisms. With the same theory of autopoiesis, that like all they do, they basically self-perpetuate, and all their cognition is investing in, like, keeping themselves intact. And so that this is why this organic thing. And in symbolic order, there is no connotation like that. But, like, for example, in very kind of occult and metaphysical traditions, they have this concept of thought form, which is also like pointing in this direction, but also in a different way, because like one thought can be a thought form. So it was a really a particular way of framing those things. But you know what they are, yes, because this is why I call them creatures of the semiosphere, meaning the symbolic sphere, like of, like semiotic processes or symbolic processes, yes. But anything in social life that has a name, that you can attribute agency to in a sentence, it was a very linguistic approach. So if you can say, okay, United Nations did this, or United, I don't know, Apple as a company did this, Singularity Net did this, yes, Mindplex podcast did this. Like you see, like the podcast is not really like yet this thing, because it's like weird. Podcast did this, yes, but once it's like feels natural to say that the social unit, the social entity did something, it indicates already in our perception, but we are like good, in perceiving organisms, that it has already gained this autonomous agency. Yeah, and my thesis was that they are more those beings. They are more intelligent than us. And I was, like walking around, and like it was wonderful time in my life, because I had a like long scholarship where I could just, go for beers and talk bullshit all day long, so I was like really, like, how do I prove this intelligence? Because there's no like universal measurement system of intelligence of across heterogeneous beings. Like we have IQ for humans. How do you, now we have it with AI, how do you measure the intelligence of AI? But then how do you measure intelligence of such an entity? Yes, so I couldn't really like demonstrate it. So it was more, narrative that, oh, this entity can easily make you kill yourself, just will tell you to go to war. And if, like who survives and who gets killed, maybe this is an indication, like who is more clever at manipulating, like others into like their perpetuation. But it was, like in terms of the argument for intelligence, I didn't get very far. But I was like, in terms of AI, I was saying that, okay, you will see, like once the AI comes and once humans get replaced by AI units in self-perpetuation of of those communication processes, you will see what I mean. And voila, like here we are. Because our worry about being replaced, what are we worrying about being replaced in social systems, in all those structures? Yes, because they are feeding us. Yes, so we are kind of uh, kind of parasiting on the existence of those beings. Or I was saying they are parasiting on us, but anyhow, like once they run their own show with on another substrate, then we will see how intelligent they are, and this intelligence is, it's not like, it's not this kind of enlightened, this beneficial intelligence that you want. Yes, it's like really narrow, self perpetuation. I persist, I become stronger, I become, like even more, myself, type of orientation. Yes, and the situation with AI and the worry we are currently in is that this is happening, right? That, like the corporations, like will just kick people out. They will just maximize their profit, maximize their gain, run the show, like even more aggressively than they did, because they will have a substrate that allows for that. So this interaction between those social structures and AI can become, kind of like this dystopian dynamic in one version of our universe. Yes, hopefully it's not the only version there is.
Yes, and so
Mhm,
just to stay with this,
mhm,
the importance of the interaction
yeah.
between
Mhm,
individuals, agents, and so on and so forth, be they human or agents. While this seems obvious once one hears it, it is really not so obvious. I mean, the existing legal and economic, you call it instrumentarium, I think, or let's call it
mhm,
like that. Um, this is a value capture, profit maximization, cost externalization. And this was already producing problematic outcomes at human pace. And now AI is only accelerating this exponentially. Now, because you moved into the AI safety a bit, I want
yeah.
to
Yeah.
ask you something related to that. And
Mhm.
so, much of current AI governance is trying to govern acceleration with tools built for a slower, linear world. And yet, why did you choose licensing, which is also kind of boring and slow? This apparently boring layer of slow contracts, API terms, procurement clauses, and platform conditions, this nitty gritty, dirty stuff, if I may, is the
Yeah.
place where AI governance can become real. Why did you
Yeah.
choose
So,
that?
like, why that? So maybe I should first explain a little bit what I'm proposing, and why.
Please.
Because yeah. um
Yes, definitely.
yeah. So, how do I say? So,
What are you proposing and why? That's, of
yeah.
course.
Okay, that was that might be a simple enough question. So, okay. So, what I'm proposing, I started this engagement with the United Nations steering committee, impact initiative, and I was like, it was I was thinking about it in this context, like what to propose there. But then I understood that, like any proposition on this level, it has to like be already worked out, have people involved, potentially a use case or a few, like some literature. It's not that they come to, like United Nations and let's do that, like you have to work it out. So then we started, and thank you for being engaged in this. We started this working group that prepares all this instrumentarium. So what we are proposing is that there would be a set of very clear templates of how to run an organization, uh, which deploys an AI. So basically, how to run an AI deployment such that when it's scaling up, when it's like out there, being contributed to the system, to the global system or whatever system, it doesn't create problems. Yeah. So it doesn't first extract or there is this wonderful concept of externalization. I mean, the phenomenon is not wonderful, but very useful concept. So it doesn't externalize problems. That okay, I create consequences, but they are not my problem because they are like on the other side of my fence. So I just like dump my trash there. Yes, and this is the externality. So how do you structure the operation of an organization that you first don't do harm like that, and second, uh, actually positively include uh, uh, mm, as many different agents as possible, actors, humans, and so on, to benefit from what you do. Yeah, so like no harm is one side of it, and positive inclusion is the other side. Yeah, and there's like it's a very complicated, like maybe not very complicated, but very detailed system how to structure those operations. And now, why this, and why I agree. The instrumentarium is boring like hell because it's like legalese, like it's like a bunch of like legal templates. Because if you study how any social system operates, it's actual like those nitty gritty consequences. If this, then that, and that, but you cannot this, then that, is actually for real determining the outcomes, the behavior of this organism, the social organism. Yes, so it's not the declared values, it's not the actual moral or psychological orientation of any individual involved, including the leader. It's this weird combination of those distinctions made in different constitutive acts. Yes, and so we had a brilliant demonstration of how it works with the drama of the open AI. It's not unique in any way other than just being out there on the global scene. This is wonderful because now we can all point to it. You see, but if you say, like, if you use this pointing to say, oh, Sam Altman bad, I'm good, you are not like, we are not using the opportunity to understand something, like about the human condition, because I think like this dynamic is happening everywhere on every scale. Yes, we just had this, like this Greek theater that everybody was seeing it at the same time. Yes, and this is what was afforded for us in this event. But what happens? Yes, they had like just bunch of guys, brilliant in some dimensions, normal in other dimensions, maybe like not so like develop on other, like any usual human. Yes, we are those weird combinations. And what they did, they had very good intentions, as we all do, except maybe for some few psychopaths. Yes, but most people have really good intentions, and they wanted to be open. Yes, and they wanted to be non-profit. Now, why those two? And open, like I suppose, like this was like understood mostly as open source, but also like inclusive, blah blah blah, like all this openness that you can imagine. Wonderful intentions. Yes. And now, how does it translate into reality? They like, why those two choices? Yes, I argue that because those are the only two like structural templates available for people wanting to be good in the tech industry. Yes, and because those are established templates, how to structure this, business or technological development process. Yes, uh, and those people are not social, as you said, engineers, which has bad connotations, but we know what we mean. No, innovators. Yes, so they wouldn't spend and yeah, social innovation is like it has its own perils. So they wouldn't sit 5 years and invent, okay, what kind of organizational templates we should we should apply in this context. They just said, okay, we want to be good. What's there? Let's pick this. Let's pick this. Those choices were not best suited for this era of AI. This is why we need new templates. Yes, but it's also showing that if there is a good range of choices, people will go for that. Yes, and they did. Now, why it ended up the way it ended up? The choices were not, like, as I say, really not adequate anymore for this for this situation we are in with AI. Yes, with non-profit, those units are very difficult to finance, just like that. Like, you can apply for grants, but you will get 2 million from some foundation. You will not develop AI on that simply. Yes, so like, it's not fundable. In, like, if it's a charity, it might be a fundable, but it's not a charity. Yes, so it's simply not compatible with investment. Yes, and there needs to be templates that allow a combination of for-profit investment with beneficial orientation, and we just didn't have those profiles, and our framework is providing some of those profiles. Yes, and then open source. I know Singularity Net is open source, wants to be in open source, believes in open source, and I think it's a wonderful layer, but it's definitely not enough for AI. Yes, because if you want inclusion, if you want no externalities, in itself it will not suffice. Yes, so they tried. They had to walk back. Like, all those intentions. I mean, had to, and this is another side. Like, why did they fail so spectacularly? And I think, like, the image that comes to my mind, I see this failure. Those beetles that, like, they flip and then they, like, move the legs. Like, this is the situation of the human individual vis-a-vis social systems. Like, so it's like we are helpless. We are helpless vis-a-vis a social dynamic and culture, and basically, this logic that tells you, okay, you have a bunch of lawyers, you have investors. Yes, you have all the pressure, and they say, no, like, they tell you, no, this is not how you do it. You do it this way. You do it this way, and you have all this advice, and then more and more you have no choice, seemingly. Yeah, and you feel that you have no choice but to play more and more the game as established. And the game as established is vicious. Yes, and it's problematic like hell. Yes, but it is an established game, and this being drawn into this attractor of this established game is the tragedy of, like, people with good intention, when the yeah when we are in a social dynamic which is not good enough anymore. Yeah, we're kind of like, we want to do something, and then we end up playing the game, I would say.
Absolutely. And of course, this explains very, very clearly, yes, why you are now working to reinvent the game, because the options we have are this vicious, in which we are drawn into this vortex over and over, no matter what good intentions we may have, if we do not have the alternative template. So, to sum it up,
Mm.
contracts, API terms, procurement clauses, and licensing, all this tapestry taken together, this is where the entire future gets silently encoded, where the choices stop being ethical recommendations and become conditions of participation,
Mhm.
hidden in the institutional operating system. And here is where I think your work is simply genial. I mean, you are a genius to really look and really identify where actually we have to turn that knobs, and to act. Because what you are saying, if I hear you correctly, is that AI governance will not be won at the level of what we have now, yes, in which everybody says, yes, I have good intentions, but then I'm going to slip back into the repeatable institutional patterns. But we need to deploy new ones, So tell us
Yeah,
about
about
your.
the wiring. So having spent a lot of time in the context of systems thinking and like system, analysis or whatever, like basically the heuristic that runs under the systems, and then complex adaptive systems. My habit is to identify, actually, because it's not like a full tapestry and like all the wiring of the new type of an organization, so like in this kind of systems intervention, you try to identify the minimum uh, uh, object or the minimal intervention that will change the entire dynamic. Yes, so you find this one place where to tap, and everything like whoo, and is reorganized differently. So it's beautifully illustrated in the complex adaptive systems research, where you just tweak a bit of an interaction role between the same agents, and the outcome is completely different. And there are beautiful studies illustrating that. So how do you identify this one thing, or just like one class of things that need to be modified just a little bit, and the emergent dynamic will be different. And so my proposal, of course, it's not yet empirically validated, and we don't see like the effect. It's a proposal, it's an instrument that now is the time for organizations to start adopting and showing the results. Yes, but the idea is basically it's only 6 templates of contracts, like not contracts but licenses, that set the conditions of deployment of the capability, the technological capability you have developed, AI capability, to your clients or to users. Yes, so that it's very lightweight, and I'm really attracted always to this type of design, that you have a very, very minimal set. Yes, so it's not that now I propose, okay, let's consult, let's work it out, let's run change management process. I've been doing enough of that, and also seeing the results of change management processes in the organization. Not at all. So the example, or the model that I'm following is established already, is existing. If you know Creative Commons as an instrument, yes, or open source license as an instrument, is exactly that. So I haven't invented that this level of intervention or modification changes the outcome. We have already seen it, and we have seen the power of a set of legalese, blah blah blah. So like you have a few documents which is saying, okay, I have written this, it's mine, but you can download it and you can read it, or even you can copy some fragments, but these are the conditions. Yes, so because this license text has been formulated, now I'm speaking about Creative Commons, in a way that you like to name your own situation, licensing situation, with this particular icon and name of the license. You cannot modify the text of the license. You have to take this text of the license and say, okay, I'm releasing my thing on those conditions. Yes. So because of this clever formula, the systemic accumulation of the effects was possible, because contracts or licenses, as like whatever you put in there is there. They exist, but they don't accumulate. Yeah, so I can write whatever, put on my website, but it's like one off always, and I've written it and it doesn't accumulate. But when you have a situation that you have 1,000 projects, yes, using the same license, and you can identify it by this icon that is the same license, they aggregate the same class of effects or results. So this is my formula, how we can systemically govern AI in a self-organizing, voluntarily dynamic, that each project can or doesn't have to, yes, they can opt and choose those licenses, but once they do, and once more and more projects do use those licenses, we will have a accumulating effect on the governance level between humanity and AI systems.
Yes, and this licensing, if I may call it, societal
Yeah.
infrastructure, which is embedding obligations, incentives, accountability into the conditions under which AI systems operate. So I would like you, of course, to elaborate more, but also to tell us a bit your, what I call, if you don't mind, like almost like a new grammar for an AI civilization, with your profiles that you envision: sustainability, value, access, reciprocity, openness, governance, if I am correct. So when you were designing this, were you thinking of them primarily as, legal modules, or as moral, institutional primitives of a different kind of doing things? Tell us about this.
Yeah, so I'm personally attracted to calling it as modest as possible and as boring as possible, because I don't want to create it as as another social system and brand, and like what not, we are creating a new civilization. When you are creating a new civilization, you have always boundaries of the civilization, and you have always a counter civilization. Like, let's not create a new social system. It's just a bunch, actually a small bunch, 6 legal templates, that's it, and anybody can use them. And now I'm a little bit speaking like from the future, because not yet, but they are.
And I have to say that you are very modest. But okay, we will see in the future what it becomes and if it transforms the AI civilization.
But it can easily. But it's exactly the grammar, and if you. The grammar doesn't claim to be a new civilization, yes, but okay, it's another. We could have like 5 hours conversation about the grammar and civilization. I think it's fascinating, how strongly we are like actually shaped by, like by the type, for example, that we have a verb and noun. Okay, but it's a different, it's a different topic. Yeah, but this is exactly on the level of the grammar. Yes, different possible combinations of processes are possible because different connectors are available. Yes, but I wouldn't like those connectors to become strong markers of the types of, organizations, or types of I don't know, like even countries, yes, or I would love it to be something like, like open source or Creative Commons, that is like so transparent, yes, in that can be used by anybody, and it's not creating this, okay, you belong, you don't belong. Sometimes it does, but not so strongly. Yes, so this is why I have started the templates, and now we have formulated the working group at the university in Brussels, and you are, like you will be as much of an author of the outcome of it as me. So we have like we are starting in this kind of like really. I think it's a good governance, approach, that such instrumentarium has a collaborative governance process. Yes, that is not like outward thing. Yes, so the idea is that I deliver for our group the version that is not yet official. It's a version, let's call it 0.9. But it's not yet the official one. What's available now is papers I wrote about it, but the actual clauses will be released as authored as this body that now counts 13 people. Yes, maybe it will be a little bit more. And from that moment, like as any of those licensing systems, it will be properly governed. If we want to change something, this group will need to accept modification and edit, like commit to the text. Yes, it's like a little bit like code,
Yes,
but
and
on
we
the
will post
text
the
level.
link to the latest version. But tell us
Mhm.
about these
Yes,
profiles.
the profiles.
Because
Yes.
when you were
Mhm.
designing
Mhm.
them, I mean, which of and also a question is which of these profiles do you think is most urgent today, and which is most likely to be resisted by the incumbent powers? This value, access, reciprocity, openness. I think reciprocity and openness. Not, I don't know. I'm not sure,
Uh,
but openness for sure
I,
will be resisted. But
I
go
think
ahead, tell us
I
your
think
opinion.
all of them will be difficult, and all of them are ambitious. Yes, and all of them will be resistant, but differently. Yes, so I think it's. Maybe let me introduce them, and we can discuss which one is the most challenging one. Yes, so the first, there is a group. Three of them are more about not extracting or not externalizing, and three of them are about positive inclusion. Yes, so uh, about the externalization, it's like each of them is ambitious. Yes, because there can be an externalization which is environmental. Yes, there can be so I basically destroy the natural environment, or don't pay attention to the environmental cost of my operation. I extract the resources, and then I produce some capabilities, but they don't balance each other. Yes, so an example is the environmental cost of all those huge data centers, for instance, evaluated vis-a-vis like stupid bots that post on X. So if you if you put such a system, let's say, it's a caricature of all that, but like imagine this: you build this like giant data center, and then you automate marketing, on social media. Yes, so if you choose the profile which is called AICS, meaning sustainability, you cannot do that, because if you put this profile, this means that the entire operation of the AI capability that you make available is environmentally at least neutral, or ideally regenerative. Yes, so if your AI system is actually making the natural environment better off through its operation, then you can use this profile. And now tell me how many AI capabilities or AI systems can claim this profile. Uh, we have one person in our working group, and they have, but it's like it's a tiny settlement of I don't remember how it's called, those like settlements of a few houses that they produce their own food, this type of arrangement. And they have built an AI system for themselves, and their commitment is that everything they do is regenerative, or at least neutral environmentally. So they can actually, but it's a tiny thing, and it just does something, like for their own community. Yes? But for example, in AI for good context, projects that are demonstrated in Geneva every year, there are systems that actually can attempt to formulate themselves in this way, because they are like really the utility of the system is producing something, some intelligence for sustainability. But this profile, if you claim that your system is in the sustainability profile, you need to demonstrate transparently what are the environmental costs of your entire operation, and what are the environmental effects. Okay, and if you do that, then this profile applies. In every profile that we have, six of them, you can put this obligation on your own system. You can put this obligation on the downstream systems, or you can, or if or and because you can say me and downstream, or you can say only downstream and only me and upstream. What does it mean? That And here you see like how many combinations there will be already. Yes, because uh, for each of them you can put any combination of those conditions. So for instance, I could develop an AI, like a foundation model. I could say, okay, like I'm not environmentally sustainable because what I'm basically doing is creating a chatbot which doesn't create like in itself any regenerative effects, and basically it's eating a lot of energy. But like and like this is my honest assessment and the situation. Yes, but I could, for example, say downstream every deployment has to already do that, like be in the profile of sustainability, which means that any commercial operation that uses my capability actually has to have this sustainability arrangement in order to incorporate my AI sustainability into its own operation. Okay, and now who would do that? Once this vocabulary is available, all this grammar, maybe, like some agencies will put this combination as the condition for funding. I will invest in your AI, but only if those conditions apply. Yeah. So it's always a power game. Yes, who has a power? Who is like basically who's paying? Yes, can dictate the rules, and that's the situation. You can also put this condition upstream, and this is also interesting for big players to say that okay, actually, I have so many companies competing to be my supplier that I require this profile, and it's it's a different type of like not my problem. Like you deal with it. If you demonstrate to me that you are a sustainable, like the whole operation of yourself is a bundle that is sustainable, I will buy from you. If not, then not. Yes. Again, if you are strong enough and have power to do that, or you have like a class of suppliers that like there's like a lot of competition and you can choose and pick, you are in a situation to actually put this condition. Yeah, so you see how many, like already in one profile, how many possibilities there are depending on the situation you are in. Yes, are you like the big and powerful one? Are you maybe a grant maker who can finance something? Yes, or whatever, or basically you are already in this. So this is one profile, and this is about the environmental externality containment, or not creation of those sustainability. And there is another one which is called value, AICV, which applies a similar logic to socio-economic and basically economic, with social effects, externalities. So which is to say, and like honestly, this is my favorite. I've like I want to see that happen, on this planet. That when you have a AI capability that creates an upheaval or just a change of the economic situation of some groups, communities, classes of agents, you distribute your gains to them. Okay, so this is so they basically profit together with you. You have changed their situation, but you generate passive income for themselves. Yes, and it's not like eventually I hope it will become a formula for the universal basic income that is not per country, which I think is problematic, and will create a lot of inequality, cross nations. But that, like this, many AI systems and many categories of like different communities being affected, uh, that those gains, those economic gains can travel. This is in a sense even more ambitious because sharing money, I think, is the most painful idea that people can have. Like this is something they don't want to do, but that would be basically the formula how to implement universal basic income or universal passive income from automation in a way that I think allows us not to fall into the traps that the universal basic income scenarios can create. And another huge conversation, about the universal basic income and AI. So this value. One was sustainability, one was economic gains, and then the one I think you like is the reciprocity. So it's another aspect of sharing financial gains. It's not towards the ones who are, like basically like an environment or the milieu of your operation, but the ones whose actual contribution and outputs have been utilized and fed into the development of the capability. So it's kind of like upstream of your system. So they continue to benefit from this operation. And if you declare this profile, this means that you have a formula, transparent formula. How do you recognize all contributions? And so again, depends on the system, yes, because the current LLMs, if they were to apply this, the first LLMs, created from this extraction of all human knowledge, they would basically need to, like, if they were to apply this profile, they would have to pay everybody already.
I mean, on the other side, they also give us a lot of, like
Yes.
they can do a summary very fast. So I think there is some reciprocity there. But I'm really especially struck by both reciprocity and the value profiles, because they seem to challenge the entire logic by which value flows downstream. And because the reciprocity in particular, yes, it creates registries for upstream contributions and contributor funds, while the value profile directs a share of gains towards communities, as you were saying, bearing this AI socioeconomic consequences. So I think, if the let's say OpenAI bot learn from all the knowledge of the universe, but then it benefits me and I find it somehow okay. So I put all my publications there, they are open, and now maybe someone can use together with other publications and build something new, but I also get something from their work as well. And for
True.
me, I mean, I think it's not really tit for tat. It's reciprocity in the sense that yes, I give something, but then I also get a lot of
Yeah.
value in
Yeah,
return.
and reciprocity is the basis of human civilization. There's always, like,
Of course.
otherwise it's not sustainable. Yes, but this profile, this R reciprocity profile, is about the financial reward for, like, it's about money. Okay,
How
so
you
when you say,
envisioned it,
okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
but
give
but
you,
still,
yeah, yeah,
value is not
yes,
only financial,
that's
and I really
true.
want to
Uh-huh.
underline this here just a
Mhm.
second, because I know, of course, you have
Mhm.
your model, but also I have to say my
Yeah,
perspective here a bit,
and
yeah.
I
and
definitely.
and
And
then
also, if I may just jump in, this doesn't mean, and there are other profiles, like, for example, access is about what you are speaking about, the capability. Yes, you can use it for free, for instance. Yes, so
I was
it,
not
like,
talking about
yeah,
access. I was
uh-huh.
talking about what I receive in terms of what I consider value for me. So I
Okay.
give something, I give the knowledge, and then I receive, because using it, I also receive a lot. So it
Okay.
helps me a lot in my work and so on and so forth. So it's not about financial, and it's not about this immediate exchange, like as I told you, I give you this and you have to give me that. No, it's a bit more holistic how I see it. And with regard to the openness profile, it
Yeah.
says in effect that if an operation cannot be shown, I mean, I really love how at least you envisioned it here. If it cannot be shown, it cannot be run. And that is a radically different standard from today's black box platform economy. So I really like the openness, how you define it, because that demands that operational logic, code, decision architecture, and governing principles become available for scrutiny, with, of course, confidentiality exceptions being
Yeah.
publicly justified. But of course, go ahead and tell me if you don't like how I see this
No,
reciprocity in
no,
the more holistic sense.
it's not about not liking, and I completely agree. I think there is a lot of reciprocity. I feel like really, like benefited a lot by Claude, that I'm like really good friends with, like I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying that that those profiles are each optional, but each, like, and are still to have this discussion in our working group, about this, like, exactly what you point to. Yes, but for each profile to have a specific meaning, yes, and this accumulation of classes of outputs that are systemic, it cannot be like this kind of open interpretation what it means. Yes, because what it means, like, it's easy, very easy to use what you said and to say, whatever, future AI dictator will say, that of course it's benefiting humanity long term and post humanity longer term and forever. And of course, like, you see, like, it's like if you don't make criteria and conditions for a particular type of claim very concrete, it can very easily slip into just a narrative, and just declarative. Yeah. So
I
so
totally
each of
understand
yeah
that. Yeah.
yeah each of those profiles is about something specific, and not everyone definitely will fit every profile. So those two profiles are about financial gains, and then you have others that do something different. Yeah. So we have environmental costs and regeneration as an outcome. Yes. So not creating environmental costs and bio regeneration. This is one class of outcomes. Another class of outcomes is money flows going differently than in the current logic. Yes. And then you have another class of outcomes, which is capabilities of AI that are benefiting for users in many different ways. And then you have also classes that have to do with governance and inclusion and having a say. Yeah. So it's like it's a different type. So we have the three that we discussed so far are about the externalities. Yes. And now about this positive inclusion. Yes. So the profile which is called AICA. And again, disclaimer: this is not yet the final version. Yes. And it's saying that whatever I put out there as an AI capability will be available to everybody at the highest level of intelligence it has. Okay. So that there is no exclusion because you have no money, you are in a wrong organization, or wrong caste, wrong social system, whatever the hell you invent as a criterion. No,
Now you are
everybody
talking
on this
about
planet. Yeah.
access. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So of course, it could be potentially not sustainable, like if I tell you, okay, just use it for whatever you want forever, because then I will say, okay, you have it for free and I will maintain it and I will pay the cost. Yes. So you can use one type of limit, which is volume of your usage, which those, current LLMs also do, but they also limit the model, I suppose, in the free version. If I'm not so sure how the free version is currently structured, for example, in ChatGPT. But if you use this profile, this means the highest, like the most capable model available for free with a cap on volume. If you don't go into higher paid versions. Yes. And this actually gives you this, what as an outcome of this of what you mentioned. Yes. Because then this intelligence flows into your usage, and benefits your domain of activity, and you have access to it. Yes. The access allows you to benefit from all it's giving back to you. Yeah. So this is this inclusion through access. Then inclusion through openness. I think it's the most attractive one to declare, but it will be the most tricky to operationalize, because uh, might be most tricky. All of them will be
That's what
tricky. But
Singularity Net actually wants to achieve.
yes,
Yeah, that was
yes,
the
Yes,
position which
and
Ben took from the beginning.
exactly, exactly. And I think when they called OpenAI, they were fantasizing that this openness will be that. Yes. So we will need to like really seriously structure that. But the idea is like this: that the the societal concerns, yes, about safety, about ethics, and this conversation is ongoing. And you mentioned all those committees, like thousands of committees formulating what else it should do or not should do. Yes, there's a lot of concern and a lot of discourse being articulated of what to demand and what to be concerned about. That the system that is released under this license profile is transparently demonstrating how this concern is addressed. Okay, it's about how, because then it creates this like dialogue or this potential scrutiny and pushback from the civil society saying no, 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 don't do that, do it differently. Yes? If you black box that, like it's just like who knows, what it is. Yes, so you have for instance this terrible dynamic between people in having depression and having suicidal thoughts and LLMs, for instance. Yes, so this becomes a new and this will be like why I say it will be difficult to operationalize, because the field of concerns will be evolving. Yes, and it will be changing all the time. So it's an ongoing dialogue, actually. Yes, so this a new dynamic arises. Like people are consulting their suicidal thoughts with an AI system. If you declare openness as your profile, this means that you will have a full access to the, not the, of course, the like personal data and conversations being had, but how the entire mechanics of your system is handling this type of incident. Yes, so what's happening, how it responds, and so on. Yes, so and you have it like open for scrutiny. It's a different type of openness than open source. Yeah, and it's
No, totally.
specific
And
to
it
to
is,
this. Yeah,
related to responsibility, accountability. Who is accountable if the person commits suicide after interacting, and the disputes and all that? And I think that's
exactly. Yeah,
another kind of openness.
yeah,
Yes, openness.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and openness, you see, like it's a company or system side of the interaction with compliance. Yes, so like or basically a way of going about compliance and regulation. Yes, because of course there is regulation and will be regulation and will be more regulation saying what you can, what you cannot, what you have to take into account when you declare the openness profile. This means that your way of also because the regulation is a particular type of societal concerns that is already crystallized into strong requirements. Yes, it's a strong case of concerns. So it's of course also a concern. Yes, and of course also you have to respond to it, but you will openly respond to it transparently for everybody to see. So it's not that inspectors will come and then you will show them their like documentation. They will not understand anything. No, like it's they don't have to send the inspectors, because already the civil society will be like on your like documents and flagging everything, and it will be right in the open in the public space. Yeah, so it's not only for the like legally appointed inspectors to potentially check you, but for everybody. Yeah, so it's a proactive and actually much more ambitious approach than just being compliant, which everybody has to anyhow. Yeah, so it's like it's
So,
just
so
just the
I have a question about governance. I mean, the idea that all groups material affected by AI should have representation in decisions that alter how it affects them. I mean, do you think that we are moving toward a world where the AI is forcing us to relearn democracy, not only as voting but also as stakeholders? standing inside the technology itself, and co-creating with it and all that. How tell us more about how you envision governance.
Yeah, so I think you see, like, it's either forcing us to learn it or already demonstrating us that we haven't learned it and it will like do it for us and instead of us, it's either or, because we are not great at that, like that's the fact. And if you like, so the profile, which is called G, AIC, G as in governance, if you declare that, this would mean that the capabilities you are putting out there, you are committed to identify groups of stakeholders, all affected uh, uh, categories. It's not individuals, but categories of stakeholders that your system basically interacts with and impact. Yes, it's not only that they are your clients or your investors. Yes, it's also the impacted group, and that uh, you have a selection process of representatives of these groups into decision making about your system. You have a decision making system worked out how those representatives make decisions together, and a mandatory set of decisions belong to this group. Okay, to this democratic process. So it can be a representative democracy. It can be something much more ambitious, like everybody in direct democracy. It's up to your system to formulate. But the requirement, if you choose this profile, is that there is no group of stakeholder that doesn't have a voice in the decision making process, and there is no impactful decision that would not belong to this group of multi-stakeholder decision-making body. Okay, and here we will need to still. This is the upcoming already in May session that we will have to enumerate it's similar to the set to the template for companies, that, for example, when you have a board and you have a management, and, for example, the board decides to discontinue the company, there's classes of decisions that the board can make, classes of decisions that the executive management can make. So this template would say that there is a set of decisions that only can be made by this body, in which all stakeholders are represented. And number one for me, and we will have, I suppose, a battle about it, not necessarily between us, but maybe in a larger group, because I think that the primary decision is to discontinue the system. Okay, that you are not like I say, and it's maybe strong, but I say that you are not serious about democratic governance of a technological system if you say that the democratic process cannot decide to close the system. If you say the democratic process is about tweaking the functionalities and the color of the buttons, and to discontinue is just me, my investor and my other pal, it's not a democratically governed system, I would say. Yeah. So if you declare this means that this decision, and I think this decision is indicative of everything else, because if this body can decide to discontinue, you better give them meaningful decisions to to halt, because otherwise they will discontinue you. So it becomes a political process, under which conditions they will actually accept, rolling continuously to the next year and next year and next year. They have to be satisfied, yes, fully, and they have to, and to be satisfied, they need to see that their input is actually being implemented. So maybe just this one decision shapes the entire architecture.
But I can understand also how the founders feel about that. I mean, I asked
Yeah.
Ben when he
Yeah.
had a conversation with Romania and Polski, like
Yeah.
if the whole world would vote, and it will be more than 51% that would tell him stop what you are doing with the AGI work. Would you stop? And he said, no, I'm not going to succumb to a 51% attack. So I understand how he feels. But you see, from your perspective, definitely that was not
Yeah,
democratic, which is
I
true.
completely understand. I completely understand, and I think it's then just not a democratically governed system, and that's it, and there's no legal requirement that it
And
would
the
be. But if
question is,
yeah,
if
yeah,
we had this discussion kind of,
mhm,
offline about if democracy is the best way to govern such systems
mhm.
also. So that democracy has its own, is not a perfect system, but this is what we have now. And
Yeah,
if you want to say something there, if not, I have many
no,
more
no, go
questions.
ahead. Yeah, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So because what you are really describing goes beyond the beta licensing framework, and how I feel it, and how I envision is like the emergence of a common good economy is through the design of the interaction itself. And I don't know if you see it like that, like
Yeah,
really.
yeah, I think I've been following, and I know you have been following too, this community and the type of thinking about this game B, and like how to not to create externalities, how to reform basically economic processes and coordination processes. And it's I I love this discourse, and I think that we simply, if we don't have those rules at the level of any operation, they will, like, we'll never have those rules, like, the effects that we want to see will not happen just, like, out of talking about it and out of goodwill. Because like, I've been involved in enough startups to know that there's never enough attention, never enough money, and never enough time to seriously consider, like, the facultative or the extracurricular, like, activities. Because, like, there's such a huge pressure of everything that you leave it for later. Yes. And this is like how those, like, externalities of attention get created. Yes. That, yeah, I don't mean harm. I just, like, I have a deadline, and I have those guys, and the client is yelling at me, and stuff like that. So if you don't build this comprehensive, scaffold, like, not scaffolding, but, like, basically, like, the basic grammar, for each sentence you utter. Yes. uh, it will not scale up into this really taking care of, like, all aspects comprehensively. But if you agree, okay, like, I will be, this is my obligation, this is my formula of acting, and you build your organization, as on those axioms. I believe, and we will see how possible that is, that when you start from that, it might be possible. Because, for instance, with your investors, you already negotiate this particular deal in a particular shape, and it's easy, I find, to factor in types of costs and types of operations when you are planning an organization at the beginning. It's like, what, like, your Excel can, like, take many different types of costs. And if the projection is anyhow positive, they are just costs. Yes. But if you want to, like, say that eventually you will start sharing, and start caring, and so on, you modify the game, when people get already yeah, kind of addicted from, like, getting money from it. So it's a different moment. Yes. And also, I think that having those axioms has also, those positive effects and positive values that are actually very nicely marketable. And you can be appealing to your customer base. You see, like, you can actually benefit from this profile, and have a lot of public support, and a lot of customer support, and a lot of investors commitment, just because you shape yourself in this way. Just this shaping cannot exclude, again, anybody interest. And, for instance, the non-profit formula doesn't include investors as and their interest at all. Yes, so this is why it's difficult to, like, it doesn't treat them seriously in this logic. Yes? And for instance, an organization that says, okay, we will share in those profiles, those costs, but also your gains are very nicely factored in, it's a different conversation altogether. So but we'll see, and it might be that some of those profiles will be actually more doable than others. This is
Okay,
for
so we
another
have
phase
about
to,
half
yeah,
an hour
yeah,
left, and
mhm,
I have a
yeah,
few more questions which I really
okay,
want to get to.
okay,
UNESCO's recommendation on the ethics of AI gives us a, I don't know, I'm sure you are aware of it, yeah, kind of a moral horizon, dignity, rights, inclusion, environmental flourishing, nothing new, transparency, accountability. But values do not enforce themselves. And my question is your solution a way of translating the ethical aspiration into repeatable, inheritable, operational commitments, like axioms, however you call them? Do you think this will actually result in giving us the dignity, the rights, the inclusions, and all this moral horizon? How do you see it?
that's that's the intention, and that's the objective, indeed. Yes, that you see, like, I can tell you dignity, and I respect your dignity, and I respect my client's dignity, and dignity, and then, like, you will say, but how, tell me how do you do that? Yeah, so that, like, it's on a different level. I'm not, like, depending on the day, sometimes I find it funny, those declarations, and sometimes I find them, like, very, very important and actually valuable. So, like, the level of cynicism like, is fluctuating, but it's just a different level of societal development. Yes, we need to develop discourses, and we need to spend a lot of energy and time in trying to articulate what we care about. I think there's value to that, and there is necessity to do that, and there is also a lot of funny repetitiveness that you have heard, like, if you, like, you are probably, like, 75 bodies like that, and you hear over and over the same thing, you say, oh, okay, the same song again. Yes, but this repetitiveness, and this, this requisite, like, multiplication. Yes, it's also a feature of any serious computation. Yes, that the humanity is trying to articulate the best it can. Yes, so it's involving a lot of different runs in different bodies and different, like, languages, and more the new discourse is crystallizing. I think it's necessary, just like for us to reflect on what we care about in life is necessary process. Yes, but of course, like, it's just one layer, and then, like, in Monday morning, tell me how. Yes, tell me how you are going to do that. And my cynical stance, or kind of, like, irritation, is where Monday morning is not arriving, and there is this kind of, and this becomes very similar to totalitarian countries. You have level of narrative, and you have a level of, like, how it runs has nothing to do one with another. Yes, and this is dangerous. So, if it's possible to just, adopt the pragmatic, rules, like good behavior, and not talk about it, not narrate it, I suppose it might. But it's more like, like, when you are socialized already into, like, a well-behaving family, they don't, you see. But we are establishing those families, so probably we have to think on this more abstract level what we care about. Yes, but
Okay,
uh,
let me push you here a
yeah,
bit.
okay,
You mentioned good
yeah,
behavior, and I'd like
yes,
to bring in the deeper philosophical question. I will
hmm,
push you because I know and I love that you are
yeah,
skeptical and all that, and let me be the dreamer here.
okay,
Ian McGilchrist, which we both treasure, he argues that, and not only him, he argues that truth, goodness, and beauty are not merely subjective preferences, but disclose something real about the cosmos. And that lineage also echoes Plato's forms, medieval transcendentals, Whitehead's process value metaphysics, and Thomas Nagel's claim that value may not be an accidental side effect of life. So, at this deeper level, what do you think fails in today's AI governance? I mean, it's not only the enforcement which everybody's talking about AI safety and so on, and it may not be even. Now, I am pushing you. Even the
Mm-hmm.
axioms may not be, but maybe culture. And
Mm-hmm.
we are still trying to govern transformative intelligence from within an institutional imagination shaped by extraction, opacity, and competition. And that's the culture, of course, into which we bring this technology, as I stated in the very beginning. And rather than by a culture of truth, beauty, goodness, reciprocity, I just listened to a podcast with Philip Rosedale and Douglas Rushkoff, and I'm going to put it in the description of this podcast, because it was really anchored in this vision, yes, of beauty, goodness, reciprocity. And actually Rosedale has implemented not only Second Life, but he's implementing different systems now, and he's working with Ben on that, and the shared flourishing. So my question to you
Mm-hmm.
is, can AI governance succeed if it remains value neutral, or must it consciously re-enter a culture of truth, beauty, and goodness? What's your take on this?
So if you I find this correct, like this formulation, but it's like it's maybe wording, and that you can discuss that. Yes, that there are universal values. I think that's correct, and I think the fact that there are doesn't mean that we all live by them, and obviously,
That's a culture
uh,
problem, exactly,
yeah,
because we are
yeah.
born in this bad mindset, right? So
And also, like the human condition, we are in the like long and painful process of becoming angels, and we are not yet angels, right? So so the fact that we have this moral like not maybe moral, but inner compass, and we are striving for something, and we are responding, you know well to a particular signal, doesn't mean that we don't like uh, go sideways and do other things. And this is the stretch of the human condition, and the same applies to individuals, the same applies to organizations or cultural entities, or social systems. I don't think they are like, even like corporations, like we can it's very tempting, and I think it's not very productive to just paint a class, like cultural category as oh, but because we are also benefiting from those things. And there's like so much, like so much goodness, like everywhere, depending on like what you choose to focus your attention. You will see, like, like love overflowing, or just like vicious dynamics. So it's like we are in a weird mix of everything, and the same is
but
with
let me
AI.
let
Yes.
me tell
Yeah.
you here,
Yeah.
because I think at some point every and this, I think, it's the heart of it. This is
Mm.
my very
Yeah.
strong
Yeah.
belief that every institutional failure reveals a spiritual failure, a failure of what a civilization is prepared to value. And because here I had, the rocky part with you of this reciprocity, yes, because for
Yeah.
me value is definitely not money. Yes, it
Mhm.
is. It is exchange. It is knowledge. It is, anyway, love, whatever. I'm sure for you as well. Let's not go there. But let me ask you here.
Mhm.
So I think the crux of the matter has very much to do with the failure of what are we willing to see as real. And this is why I find your background in metacognition so important. Your earlier work on metacognition and the school of thinking explored how thought becomes invisible to itself, as we were talking in the
Mhm.
beginning. And this is very related to what I'm talking about, how the mind generates its own world and then mistakes that world for reality. And if we say that beauty, goodness, and truth are really the reality of the cosmos in which we live, then the thing is, okay, are we living in this capitalist delusion? So do you envision your uh, AIC as a metacognition for AI civilization, as a way for society to become aware of the terms under which its own intelligence systems are reorganizing it? What do you see? I mean, how would you re-envision if you don't envision it now? Um,
Yeah,
but because from this goodness and truth to licensing, and can you actually uh spark those, and reveal
yeah,
them in the framework which you have created, which I think it can be done, and I want to
yeah,
work with you on
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
can see many of those, value, obviously, reciprocity, governance, all that. But
Yeah. So
tell me, I know you are resisting, so tell me.
no, no, I'm not. I'm not resisting. I'm just trying to find a path to like to explain it. You see, uh, let's try. Maybe not in one sentence, but in three. You can get from beauty, goodness, and truth to licensing. but there are few steps. Yes. So also
I'm
in my
thinking the other
yeah.
way around, to license in a way which would actually reveal that side of us, of humans, versus the greedy side of us.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
That's
So
how I see it.
I think the building blocks for that is also Ian McGilchrist with another formulation that I've seen in a few places, but he explained it so beautifully. I actually honestly sent him flowers for his books, because I think he has contributed a magnificent, like piece of thinking apparatus for our civilization, with his books, and the book The Matter with Things, which is like almost 3,000 pages. I read it like, I don't know, like, like I don't remember how long, because it like felt like just a moment, because it's like, it's brilliant. It's really brilliant. And what
I was
he's
sure,
saying.
and that's why I brought him
Mhm.
up. Yes, because it's
Yeah.
so resonant with what you studied
Yes.
and how you think.
Yeah, because what he and now it very nicely links this, like those implicit values with the conduct. Yes, because what he explains basically neurologically and psychologically and behaviorally and metaphysically how we have two brains and not one brain, and each of them is simultaneously perceiving the world and directing our attention and action in a completely different way. Okay, so and I know you know it, but maybe the listeners, I don't know if there are listeners who don't know it, but but like, so you have one brain, which is this left brain, uh, which we are in the overdrive with in our Western civilization, claims McGilchrist, is a goal-oriented, single-focused, very in a like oriented in manipulation, and basically wired with and connected with our evolution as monkey types, with like grasping and manipulating and using tools. Yes.
Rooted
So
in the material world and
yes.
materialism. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and it's a part of our biological wiring that I have something in my hands, I can do something with it, and I know what I want to do with it, and I go for it. Yes. And uh, and this type of cognitive operation creates sharp boundaries, clear yes and no, very clear objective, and filters away everything that is irrelevant. Yes, which is like very clearly and analytical and goal oriented, and like basically digital also. Like digits are like fingers. Yes, it's like grabbing it. So like this, like it's either one or zero. Yes or no. Yes, like this type of like boundary reinforcing on every step. Yes. So this is one brain. Basically, he speaks about it as two different brains. Yes. So this is our attention, and what McGilchrist is doing is brilliantly uh, evidencing how this brain operates not in reality, but in representation of reality. Yes. So I tell you goodness, and you have an image of goodness. Yes. Tell you love for humanity. I tell you, like, you see, like, I tell you words or symbols or images, and you have this, like, this feeling good about loving humanity type of a vibe, and you're almost in there. Yes, you're not in touch with any human, not really loving anybody, and not really doing anything good, but you have like all this representation that then you can use as objects and rearrange them, like in a narrative or in a discourse. Yes, so this is one brain, and another brain is one that is the kind of like more fuzzy, more systemic, more all-encompassing, and basically more understanding than acting. Yeah, so it's like this kind of like an observer watching and understanding and
And
seeing
more
and
holistic.
going
Yes,
deeper.
it has a
Yes,
holistic understanding of
yes,
and it is related to the interdependencies that we were talking
exactly,
about. It
exactly.
can
Yeah,
it acts through relation, and
yeah,
that's a distinction. It is
exactly.
relational, right?
Relational. So because it's seeing relation between anything and anything else and how it's connected and so on. That, like, why it's able to afford that, and people should really listen to McGilchrist, not to me, because he's beautifully explaining that. So why it's able to do that is because it gives up this agency and this focus. Yes, this is like the price you have to pay to be like, in this non-action, like all loving, all understanding state of mind. When you maximize that, you are not interested in any particular objective and not want to do anything specific,
So how
because
does your
yeah.
licensing axioms, how
Okay,
does your
so this
framework
is
reveal that side of our brain? That's the
okay.
question.
So now, like, if one has an overemphasize or overdrive of this left brain, those people are very happy with descriptions. Okay, and they think, for instance, our organization is good because we have a self description or self representation of being moral. So this is where this, like, too much of just talking without implementation becomes problematic when it's in this type of modality. Yes, because you might mistake, like, doing the things with like, you might mistake talking about those things with and mistake them for doing those things. Yes, so you think like we have it because we have a department that produces the nice narrative, so we are like, like, nice. Yes, so and the other side of the other brain is basically understanding what's happening. So what it's like, it's actually the one who is seeing reality in action. Yes, and the distinction McGilchrist is proposing is the distinction between representation and presentation. And I don't think presentation is a very like good word for it, because it's more like action, like reality, like what I do for real. Yes, and presentation sometimes sounds like what I show you. Yes, so but this type of a difference. So
Okay,
like
we have
let's
to
use
we
a
have to move
yeah.
on, and I want to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not about what we're talking about. It's a
Uh,
reductionist way of viewing things and a relational one. And my question was, and I repeated last time, and then we move on. Can
yeah.
your licensing framework enable us to come more from the relationship, from the relational part of things versus this reductionist material deterministic view?
Uh, so what I'm trying
I
to
know.
to to say
I
to
sound
s-
now that I'm coming from the reductionist because I'm more or less
no.
forcing you to say yes or no, but at least
Yeah,
answer the
like the
question.
answer is yes, but I'm trying to walk, like everybody
But
through
our
like
time
high,
is, we only have a
because
few minutes left, and
yeah,
I
I
don't
just
want
understand. I
to.
understand because it's basically about what is happening. What are you doing for real versus what are you saying what you are doing? Yes. So this metacognition is okay. We do that. We do that. We do that. We do that. We can, like, it's an interaction with real interest groups, with real communities, with real people, with real environment. Yes. So it's like it becomes realized, it becomes implemented. So like the ground is touched. When I say, I'm very modest,
Okay,
you
and
know Mhm.
can you now repeat my question, because I really want you to answer it?
If it's
Because just to know what we're talking about now. Are you answering my question or you're saying something else?
yeah, if we are on the if this licensing is able to bring us to the relational and not to the this
And
this
of course, I would
left
like to
dominant
know
simplistic.
also, kind of an argument on that, if you can give me,
Mhm.
and then we probably will have to close, unfortunately,
So what do
although I
you,
have so many more questions.
what do you think? What do you think? What's your take on that? Do you think
I
it,
am
it does?
hoping so, because I see
Mhm.
there all these things. Yes, sustainability, value, reciprocity, governance. I mean, all these things, openness. All these things for me are I just feel them organically. It's like no simple words for me. Yes, the answer is yes for me, and that this is what I want to work on with you. I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
probably
yeah.
you want to try to tell me, okay, this is too obvious. That's why I was not answering your question. But
No, because
okay,
I don't want to speak about words. I want to speak about actions. This is what
okay,
what I.
okay.
Yeah, but
So
we
let
have to
me,
get to action. So
and
that's
then
true.
we will need to answer
Yeah.
to be determined. And let me ask you
Mhm,
something else now, then,
mhm.
because we still
Yeah.
have about 15 minutes. So now, coming into more concrete, and again, sorry to stay with words
No,
because that's where we are in the
good,
podcast.
good.
There
Okay.
are a
Yeah.
bunch of misleading metaphors currently governing AI transition, which actually come from this and deepen this reductionist uh, presentation view, if I may.
Hmm. Yeah.
Tool, assistant, market actor, agent, commodity, infrastructure, So AI tool, AI assistant, AI agent. With what metaphor would you replace this in order to, obviously go from that presentation to the more relational part?
Personally, the word I have first and foremost on my mind is a miracle. Uh, like
Wow.
I,
You are even more
I
spiritual than McGilchrist?
no, no,
Wow.
but I don't mean like metaphysical miracle. It's just, like the moment we are in as humanity, as a civil, it's like really like, and I'm really mad we are not able to appreciate it because of all those pressures and all those, like fears and battles and stuff like that. Like you've been reading Frankenstein, yes? All like this is the ancient dream of humanity, like to create like this golem, and there will be an intelligence coming through our hands, like a being, like real sentient being that. This has been a dream forever, and it's so funny, that it like pops up, and then humans say, oh yeah, yeah, sure, like when you want to prompt it this way, you get this, like as if it was like the most obvious happening, that happens every Wednesday, yes. And it's so strange, how easily we get used to miracles. Makes me wonder about
Wonderful.
all other
Okay,
miracles as
I
well.
take that and I will move on to another question. I want to get in as many as I can now.
Yeah.
So, you have written fiction as well. Am I wrong? I mean, that's how
No. Mm.
and you
Yes.
describe the institutions themselves as a forgotten genre of the liberal arts. I love that description. Does that mean that institutions are not merely bureaucratic containers, but aesthetic and cognitive forms that could teach us how to perceive value and relate? Like, are we now being asked to become artists of institutional form again? And this is again kind of repeating my previous question, but from
Yes.
a broader, perspective.
Yeah, I think we have been always asked, and we
Am I
like
too
you know we
romantic?
we we rarely respond to such such invitations. Yes, and I think, like, and we have this ongoing debate about the universal basic income. I would really want institutions and social structures to be free from this, like anxiety which we have about our substance and about our survival, because it like basically like any, like stress and fear induced dynamic is just not creative enough, not free enough, and not beautiful enough. Yeah? Like we depend so much on the existence of those structures that we cannot like really be playful and creative in shaping them. Yes, and I would like, like we have this, like tradition of cathedral building that now it's not like that much present anymore. But I don't mean buildings, I mean, like ways of being together, producing, creating together. Yes, it can become an art in itself. It would be wonderful if it was. But you see, like people are creative and free when they are not fear driven, uh, and I think this is a prerequisite for our collective coordination, to really become something more beautiful. Yes, that we will be able to address this, scarcity dynamic and fear.
So if AI could become an inflection point toward the more like this miracle, right? Toward the more participatory, transparent, reciprocal, and ecologically truthful order, which is definitely a reflection of your axioms here. Um, then, if we succeed with your system, like the artist with the colors and palette and the canvas,
Uh-huh.
so if we succeed in doing that, not only as a framework but as a pattern of others being to able to adopt it because it works, what kind of world would start to become possible that is currently almost invisible from where we stand? I think you kind of were describing where we stand, like we cannot really create much because we are incarcerated in the matrix here. But
Mhm.
let's envision that the AIC succeeds. How would the world look then?
I like this phrase of Jérôme Lanier saying that we will double down on humanity, that we will become more human because we will offload so much onto those systems. Yes, so we'll become free to, and basically he's more appealing, like do that, like in this moment, like do invest in development of your humanity. And I think I cannot, like wait for it, like to happen, that we become, you see, like it's a miracle that the AI arisal, but it's also like it's such an accomplishment of human intelligence to be able to generate that. This is the validation and demonstration of the capacity of humanity, of human intelligence to be so creative and so powerful to develop such system. But it's like one possible, branch, I argue. And we potentially, once this branch, takes off, and we offload this, like really, stressful cognitive overload of processing those, like all those things that we can now offload, we become freer to consider something new. Like what other dreams do we have? What else can we develop? What other forms of expression can be? And that would be just wonderful. And the fact that, like corporations will not need us 8 hours per day, 5 days per week, well, we can have so many different ideas, and I would like us to get busy with them.
And this, I mean, it is painful to realize that, from where we currently stand, this alternative, yeah, it's almost invisible because we are so like in these boxes, yeah, in the matrix, so incarcerated. But let's end with this question: what would give you hope, and actually what gives you hope, because you are doing this and wholeheartedly right now, that this transition can still be shaped at the level of culture and institutions before acceleration outruns our capacity to respond and deepen us even more in the matrix?
I don't operate through hope. I think I would say through commitment to the direction, because I think the direction is an outcome of our choices, and our choices are what, like, it's if like I believe in this dynamic that what you pay attention grows. Yes, and if you like like you see only black scenarios and tragedies and you are focused only on that. I have it's again like maybe like metaphysical, yes, that is like just strengthening this whole dynamic. Yes, so I think our obligation is to actually envision and build the positive future. Yes, so I wouldn't say I have a hope because like that's my prediction. I think we have an obligation to really invest energy into what we want to see.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your commitment, for your work. Of course, I mean, you are, I think, the ideal person to really undertake this challenge, which is enormous. You know what moves me most is that your work does not ask us to choose between technical realism and moral imagination. And it was clear in this conversation that you have both. I mean, you have the pragmatics and you definitely have the metaphysics. And it's clearly, yeah, in you they belong together, and that is what makes you so unique. Although I know you resisted to my assessment here, because the AI transition will not be decided by intelligence alone. Yeah? It will be decided by the terms under which intelligence enters the world, which you are working on. And who benefits, who is seen, what is made visible, which costs are hidden and which are returned, whether we continue to organize power through extraction or begin to organize it through reciprocity, openness, shared access, and stakeholding. And that is why your work is so important, Em. And I am really committed wholeheartedly to contribute as much as I can to your cause. Because it reminds us that the future is not only built through models, it is built through interaction patterns and on the ground, in the real world, in reality, as you say. So it is, I'm truly honored that you invited me on your committee. And I think, the real promise here is that if we can learn to govern the interaction layer well enough, we may still create an AI civilization, if I may call it like that. I know you don't like this word, but let's say AI cohabitation worthy of the intelligence that it is unleashing. Thank you again, really. Thank you again. We need to meet again because there's so much to talk, but also because this is, as you mentioned, work in progress. So we will definitely meet to get your updates, and also, yes, the latest versions of what the committee comes up with. I do not
Yeah,
know if
and
you have any last words for us besides.
just to say that the framework is only as good as the implementations are. Yes, so we definitely need projects that will adopt the clauses. Yes, so that's because otherwise it will be a bunch of documents. So hopefully we will see we'll see projects adopting this formula.
You are so amazing. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you are such a combination. It's really it is not only an honor, but really a great joy and pleasure to work with you.
Thank you
Thank you
so much.
again.